Welcome to Rockin' the Ages, set in the heart of the beautiful Okanagan in British Columbia with your host, Cheryl Soleway. Life is like a game of hockey. There are fast breaks, sudden shifts, hard hits, and moments of pure exhilaration. To play well, we need more than strength. We need resilience, confidence, and a plan that's always changing for every period of the game. Rocking life at any age takes more than just push-ups, cardio, or muscle strength. It's about sharpening the mind, fueling the body, and learning how to adapt and thrive through every period. There are 7 essential keys that unlock a life of energy, joy, and purpose. Through inspiring stories, practical wisdom, and a touch of grit, Rocking the Ages is here to remind you that the later chapters of life aren't a time to slow down. They're a time to play bigger, stronger, and smarter. So lace up, lean in, and get ready to discover how to truly rock the ages. Welcome to another episode of Rockin' the Ages, the show where we explore how to age with purpose, strength, and some serious momentum. My guest today is Danny Benson, a friend and fellow pickleball addict. At 55, Danny is a powerhouse. He's one of the most energized, committed, and inquisitive humans that I've ever met on this journey to aging well. Danny's not just living, he's thriving with laser focus on his mindset, his gut health, and a very disciplined fitness regime. He's proving that midlife, or that second period in the hockey game, can be the period where you really start figuring things out, and the future is bright. In this episode, we dive into the daily habits, routines, and the inner drive that fuel his high energy and his sharp focus. So whether you're just starting to prioritize your health or you're looking to level up your next decade, this conversation is packed with practical takeaways. This is the 55-year-old game plan. So hey, lace them up and let's go. Hey, Danny. Thank you so much for agreeing to come and have a chat with us today. I am going to confess that I've been watching you for a couple of years now, and honestly, I don't know many men that have really embraced a healthy lifestyle quite the way you have. So I'm really excited to have you share with our audience what you know, because I think it's a lot. Danny, I thought I'd get the kinks out. I'm going to fire some rapid fire questions at you to kind of warm you up or cool you down. I'm not quite sure. So Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. These are going to go fast. Ready?
Okay, here we go.
Number 1, what's your go-to healthy snack?
Eggs.
Eggs is your healthy snack.
100%.
I love that.
Yes.
Hey, are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning.
Morning. What's early for you?
5 a.m.
Hey, what's one health trend that you think is total baloney?
Cold plunging. And I'm not saying it's not bad, but it has been proven that it's actually not as beneficial as people once thought. But
Cool.
sauna is.
What's your favorite then recovery tool? What a great segue into this. What's your favorite recovery tool? Is it an ice bath, sauna, foam roller, taking a nap?
Sauna 100%. It's sauna for sure.
What kind of sauna?
Traditional. I have both. I have a traditional and an infrared.
Do you?
I prefer the traditional.
Do you?
Yeah, I like the heat, get a better sweat, and I find it just puts more metabolic pressure on my body.
Can I ask, will you use a sauna even in the summer months?
Yeah, 100%. Oh, 100%.
Seriously?
Yes.
Cool.
Absolutely.
We're going to get into that then. I'm going to ask you to dive deeper into that one. Hey, what's one thing you never skip in your wellness routine?
Protein.
Really? Protein every day?
Protein, key is protein. Like I prioritize my protein.
Book, podcast, or an expert that has changed the way you think about your health?
The expert that has changed the way I think, and I'm going to give him the first credit. It was
Okay.
Dr. David Sinclair from Harvard. He's a Harvard researcher. He's a foremost expert on longevity, and listening to him talk about NMN and all the key things that he does in his life really started to push me down the road of
Really?
healthier living.
Hey, this is a funny question for you. Dream pickleball doubles partner. Careful how you answer that.
Ben Johns would be a dream.
Yeah.
doubles partner. Yeah.
He would be
Yeah.
a dream. Hey,
Yeah, you would.
I love this question. Hey, what's your guilty pleasure? Something you have to try to moderate.
Ice cream.
Ice cream. How often do you do ice cream?
Well, here's a funny thing. Biohack for you, or hack for you.
Love
I
it.
use a Ninja Creamy. So I use my own milk, I literally make ice cream.
Do
Protein ice
you?
cream. I control the ingredients, no sugar.
Oh,
That is my so it was my Achilles heel. Now it's my actual go-to protein.
what's one thing that makes you feel 25 again?
Oh, one thing that makes me feel playing pickleball.
I know. I knew you were going to
100%.
answer
Yeah.
that.
I was gonna say my wife, but it really and that is true too.
Right.
Because I do feel 25. That's
Just
actually
as
when I
in
met
love.
her, but
Right.
yeah, but really pickleball.
I had an interview a couple of days ago that we chatted about, finding ways for men to be more social. And I do believe to some degree pickleball has pulled in men because they do like competition, say maybe more than women would. Not that it hasn't drawn in just as many women, but I just think as far as finding tools for men to get them out, get them more social in this third period in life, that there's that competitive side of it that is, I think, a draw. Do you agree with that?
100%. Well, I 3 C's: calories, competition, and community.
Well said. I've
Yeah.
never heard it described as
Yeah.
that either. Say
Yeah.
that again, the three
3
C's.
C's: calories, competition, and the community.
Last quick question. 3 words that sum up your philosophy on aging well. Ooh, philosophy on aging well.
Healthy eating, dedication.
Certainly dedication is, it's something that's hard to teach. It's something that's hard to give somebody. It's there or it seems to be not there, but if we can give them the tools, that dedication I think will come. But
Well, and discipline works hand in hand with dedication. It's really one of the same. But I
right.
mean, without it, because there's a lot of like I work out, I train every single day, whether it be my mind, my body, body and my mind,
Hmm.
or and it could be cardio, it could be going into the sauna. There's usually 4 or 5 things that I'm doing in a day. I'm very, very
Wow.
active.
You're right.
But there are some days where I don't want to go into the gym and
Mhm,
strength train. But
mhm, mhm.
dedication, that discipline is the only thing that gets me there. Because if I relied on motivation, I'd be in trouble.
We're now gonna segue into longer answers and more information
Sure.
because, Danny, you have just a wealth of information, and I'm gonna start with this first question, which was there a specific moment when you decided to really up your game into this journey on healthy, active living?
Yeah, that's such a great question because I've always been healthy. I
Mhm,
felt I was always healthy.
mhm,
I get my blood tests done regularly.
mhm.
There was a point in time where I was building my house and I was frantically on the road lots and I just wasn't dedicated to myself as much as I would normally. So my doctor, who's a really good friend of mine, calls me up and says, "Hey, Danny, I got your blood tests back. Blah blah blah. Everything's good, but." And I'm like, "What do you mean, but?
But
But what?" He goes, "Well," and he said, "Your fasting glucose score was high. Did you eat anything before you fasted?" I said, "L, tell me what are you talking about?
mhm,
Because I did everything by the book."
mhm,
He goes, "Well, it's just you're up in kind of pre-diabetes level on the fasting glucose." Now, fasting glucose is a different score, and I'm not going to go down that road too much. But
mhm,
basically, if I have a bad sleep, my fasting glucose might go up, and fasting glucose score is a moment in time
mhm.
where A1C, what my blood sugar is on a 3 month calendar period, is more indicative of how much sugar have I intake. Now, thankfully, my A1C was fine, but I didn't hear that. What I heard was prediabetes. So
Mhm.
I thought I had prediabetes. So I believe my A1 and I just panicked and went into, okay, what do I need to do to reverse course?
Can I ask, were you already dabbling in fasting at
Nope,
that point?
nope.
No. So this was the beginning.
This
This
was
was
the beginning.
something interesting. Now, how many years ago would this have been?
I can tell you almost to the day, but it was in 2022, and
That recently.
that was that recently. And
Holy smokes. When
now,
you decide to turn something around, you turn it around.
well, and the funny thing is, Cheryl, I like my body composition looked relatively similar.
Right?
I would say I had a little bit probably chubbier face, but I still would be
Right.
defined as athletically
Right.
strong.
Yeah.
But I still had a little bit of joint pain. I still like mobility up the stairs, down the stairs. I was like feeling a little bit off, but I thought it was age. I had to change my behavior. So I had to change the meaning
Hmm.
because if I change the meaning, I change the behavior. My meaning before was I'm good enough.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I
Okay.
like
So
this.
then
Right.
I changed it and I went, I'm dying.
Holy
Okay. Now
smokes.
not much. So some
Okay.
audience members like, well, that's pretty
Right.
drastic. But I believed that. So I
Huh.
literally shut down everything bad and I threw everything like I changed like this.
Not right.
So by making that change,
Mm-hmm.
I fast tracked and reversed like all my everything went down. Blood sugar was great. Fasting was back to normal. I mean, this was over a period of time.
Right.
But I mean, that was my moment.
That is a fantastic answer. I mean, I have to say, so my 7 keys that into this aging well, number one, I do think it's still mindset, right? So it's mental health too. It's an interesting category because mental health is a different aspect maybe than mental fitness. But I loved how right away you went to my attitude and my mindset and what was going on in your mental makeup with this. That just floats my boat so much. But
Yeah.
then that your very next thing was your gut health. That how intuitively you seem to know that in order to put the brakes on and make some changes, you're not racing to the gym. Not that the gym is bad, but that your intuition right away said it is going to start with my gut health.
100%.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I do not think that enough of our population, or percentage of our population, would think that. Danny, next question. Have you explored any advanced health strategies like biohacking, wearable technology? I think I know the answers to these. Regenerative therapies or any hormone optimization?
Yes. All of the above.
Have you?
Yeah. Wearables. I'm big on it.
Are you?
Yes. Yes. Very much. My friend owns a longevity clinic. I do supplement well.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a big part of my daily routine.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that it's helping me be optimal.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I've explored, I went down those roads, but as of now, other than the wearables and the supplements, it's not for me
Okay.
because I do feel like food and which supplements and food are very hand in hand.
Right.
And the exercise, I don't think I have to do much more than that
Right.
at this stage of my life.
Enough, right? You're exercising enough. And that's another word that I like to pass along to people. We just need to be mobile enough and strong enough, but you need to be enough.
What do you think is enough?
Okay, good question. So, Danny, you have a building background, correct?
Yes.
So, when I describe to people the building process, it starts with that foundation that we put in, that concrete foundation,
Yeah.
and then it's the framework that goes
Yeah.
up, and then it's finished by the trusses, all creating that stability. But it all gets covered up by what makes the house look pretty.
Right.
And our bodies are the same way.
Right.
Our bodies are created by the foundation, which is our core strength, starting from our pelvic floor to, what's coming from above and below. The diaphragm muscle plays a very important role in stabilizing our core. So that's why we incorporate breathing. Some people have no idea, why am I exhaling while I do this exercise?
Yeah.
Well, it's to engage your diaphragm as part of that ceiling, the trusses, your pelvic floor muscles creating the base, and then our framing being our abdominals, but also the multifidi and the low back muscles. So, and it all gets covered up. You alluded earlier to, it's not about how we look. There's a lot of people out there that can look great. But again, that foundation wasn't poured properly, or they never did get the right framework put in. So,
Or body
enough.
maintenance for that matter. But how much exercise is enough? I guess like how many hours a day?
You know what? It's multiple minutes every single
Sure.
day. Every day, Danny. But it's not necessarily at the gym, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed. But so when we talk about exercise minutes, move minutes, what do you think is optimal for you?
Probably at least between 1 and 2 hours.
Yeah.
But I mix it in almost all day long.
Right.
I look like a banana. When I get out of bed in the morning, the first thing I do is I'm mobilizing my feet. I literally will stick my leg up on my countertop while I'm brushing my teeth.
Perfect.
Right? So, and that's a message I'm wanting to get out there to people, that those seconds here and minutes there that you steal all throughout your day is what adds up.
Yep.
Yeah. Tell me what you think.
For me, it's 4 hours a day at least.
And what does that look like then?
So starts off with a walk.
Okay.
Right. I ruck. So rucking vest with an R.
Okay.
Right. So I put on my 50-pound vest. Didn't start at 50 pounds.
Is this most every day then?
Most every day.
Is that right?
Yeah. Put on my 50-pound vest and I walk. Walk my dog, walk with my wife. She puts on her ankle weights and her wrist weights. That works for her. And we walk. And then when I'm done my walk, 2 to 3 hours of pickleball,
Okay.
like almost immediately. When we're done our pickleball, in the gym. Now we're
Mhm.
fasted, remember. So we're
Right.
doing this all fasted.
Right.
So then we'll do 45 minutes to an hour of strength training. Then I'll break my fast, and it's usually around noon. And then in the afternoon, we're walking, swimming, paddleboarding, just general movement things,
Okay.
right?
How
But purposeful movements.
I think that's amazing.
hmm
Realistically, what percentage of the population do you think would do that much in a
Well,
day?
that's a really great question. I would hope all, but
Yeah.
I know that's not probably the case. But choices,
Okay.
right? Um, I want to live a really long, healthy life.
Mm-hmm.
I call it health span. And my lifespan is going to be dictated by some things that I can control and some I can't.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to live as healthy and happy. I want to be able to move at an elite level for as long as I can. And
I
I
have no
know that the
doubt.
only way I'm going to do that is to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Now, I'll also preface this by saying I'm not hard on my joints.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to start running and I'm not going to start playing singles and pickleball. This body, like a car, only has so many miles.
Good.
So I'm not going to overexert my body to the point where I'm going to risk injury.
You know, when you talk about those hours too, remember most people are working 8 hours, right? So again, it's
Oh,
hard for them. Like how,
sure.
to give them what's the priority.
Yeah.
And so I come back to, I do feel a priority is still mobility, even over strength. Strength is important, but if your joints are unhappy,
Yeah.
everything else will tend to suffer. So if I had to sort of advise somebody that, is a minimalist and just has sat at a desk for long periods of time, my first priority would be actually just getting them their joints and motion and mobility,
Sure.
maybe in the
Yeah.
pool.
What do I need to do to get X out of
Started.
my
Get
life?
started.
Get started, move. The low hanging fruit.
Okay.
Exercise, move, eat better.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the easiest thing
Yeah.
to do.
What do you do to structure into your week for recovery and regeneration and longevity? We do know that too. You also have to have time to put gas back in the gas tank. That if we deplete ourselves, there could be problems too. So tell me about your strategy for recovery.
Well, it starts with sleep. So sleep is number one. I try to eat my last meal. Doesn't always work because I'm not perfect, but in a perfect world, I try and eat my last meal 3 hours before bed. Fuel. You said gas in the gas tank.
Yes, the
That's my
gas tank.
fuel. So what I eat is going to help me propel my body that day and the next day and the next day after that. So I try and stay away from inflammation foods.
Can I ask you, are you blessed as a good sleeper?
No,
Good.
no, I'm not.
Because I don't think many of us are, unfortunately. It's a
Yeah,
battle.
it is a battle.
So tell me what else you do to battle the fact that you're not a great sleeper.
Well, targeting my bedtime at
Mhm.
a rate I wake up at roughly the same time. I go to bed at the same
Do
time.
ya?
So yeah, I'm in sleeping by 9 and I'm up at 5. Like that's clockwork. And I try and stay in bed.
Yeah.
Even if I want to be awake, I try and meditate. I'll go through breathing so just to calm down, but to stay rested.
Right.
Um,
Have
and
you
then
tried any of those breathing techniques
yeah,
that stimulate the vagus nerve? So that
yes,
idea of inhale, inhale, inhale,
yep,
hold, long
yep.
exhales. There's some pretty
Like
great
five,
little
five,
apps
five.
that
Or,
you
yeah, yeah,
can grab even and I think there's maybe something to that. I've definitely given that a try. Can you tell me who you follow? Do you listen regularly to podcasts?
regularly.
Tell me who
Yes.
you do follow when you do.
So I love Dr. Rhonda Patrick,
Okay.
Thomas DeLauer. He's a little bit scientific, but yeah, but he
Yeah,
gets he gets a little bit off on tangents. But I love his
I agree.
message.
Yeah.
Yeah, um, I love Vonda Wright, Dr. Vonda Wright. She's amazing.
I'm loving how many women you're listening
Yes, I
to.
listen to a lot of women. They're usually the ones that are the smarter ones.
Because you know what, Danny, what I wanted to share with you as we were talking a bit about sleep. I've been listening to a Dr. Stacy Sims, and I think I asked you yesterday if that name rang a bell of Stacy Sims, if you'd heard of her, and I think you had said no, not yet.
Yeah,
I'm sure you will. One of the things I love about her is she talks about the fact that women are not small men.
right.
That all this push right now towards lifting heavier weights, towards even creatine, sure, they're fine. Women, we all want to do that, but just that fact that sometimes when we're listening to the men who have done the studies, most of those studies have been done on men. And when I come back to sleep problems, I do believe that the hormones with women are just have a bigger impact
For sure.
on sleeping problems than with men. A cool thing that I know about you is I'm thinking quite a while ago now, but almost for at least as long as I've known you, you've seemed to cut out alcohol
Yeah,
completely.
completely.
Was that to do with this scare sort of 3, 4 years ago?
No, the good news was I was never really a big drinker at all. Like
Is that right?
I didn't really I didn't like the taste. So I felt like, people were like, oh, this tastes great. This tastes like a juice. I'm like, well, then I'll drink juice. Like, why would I put the alcohol behind the juice
Wow.
and it has zero health benefits.
Yeah.
And there's no amount of alcohol that's a good amount.
You're blessed. I honestly think the rest of us have had to sort of work into that, getting it out. We made it a habit, and now we're having to get rid of that habit. But we come back to that sleep thing that for those people that, if you undeniably are not sleeping well, I think that alcohol still has to be the first thing we discuss that are they ready to check that out of their lives? Because it's just super hard to sleep well if alcohol is being ingested before bed.
What's the lowest hanging fruit for people?
I love that saying.
Right. What's the lowest
Yes.
hanging fruit? And what is it? Exercise.
Yes.
Get moving.
Get moving.
Because that will tire a person out. That'll help put someone to sleep. Or go for a walk after we eat. That so many people eat, sit. That's the worst thing to do.
Right.
Right? So just get moving.
Okay. So
Extra.
let's
Yeah.
talk about your strategies
Sure.
then for lean muscle mass.
Yeah. Well, lean muscle mass is first and foremost strength training.
Okay.
There is no greater gift to the body than strength training.
Okay. Okay.
Second, prioritize protein.
Okay.
Protein is the building block.
Great.
Also,
Great.
protein will make a person feel fuller longer. Eat healthy, prioritize your protein, and you can eat smart too,
Okay.
which means if I put rice on my plate, that's basically glucose. Okay.
Yep.
Most people know that.
Filler food.
Filler food. Now, I choose not to eat rice because I just don't care for
I'm
it.
kind of the same.
But
Yep.
if it's on the plate and you got a side of broccoli and you got a lean steak and a side salad, what does the order matter? 100%. You will lower the blood sugar or the overall glucose response if you put the fibrous carbs first. So eat the salad. That's why it's always a pre-meal.
Okay.
Eat the salad, eat the veggies, eat the protein, eat the rice.
Every time I talk to you, I've learned something new.
Yeah.
And I also realize that we're on the same page on so many things. And we very quickly chatted the other day about how much we both love eggs. I have eggs.
Oh.
I'm not going to say the very first thing I start with in the morning, and I'm going to ask you this. I start with a shake. I start with it's a prebiotics, probiotics. I add in a heaping scoopful of bovine collagen. And again, talking about women are not small men. My needs as my estrogen levels have dropped is in order for my tendons, especially, and my muscles, I need better collagen and not marine collagen. I need bovine collagen as a female to help with my muscles, tendons. I put in a heaping scoopful of cinnamon. But then I also talked about my latest crazy great thing is how much cottage cheese I put in everything. And you mentioned cottage cheese the
Yeah.
other day.
Yes.
So now, yeah, my breakfast, my eggs, I have 2 eggs, but a honking scoopful of cottage cheese. And
Yep.
it's satisfying. I am
Yeah.
rarely ever hungry, for another 4, 5, 6 hours. In fact, I sometimes feel I can skip dinner now because just the addition I'm finding of cottage cheese. Have you
Yeah.
found some other great tricks up your sleeve for protein?
Well, yeah. I mean, Greek yogurt is a huge.
Ugh.
Yeah, Greek yogurt, like that's another staple.
Isn't it
Right?
great?
It's
Do you,
great.
do you get almost every day?
Almost every day.
What's funny is I now, because I have a shake in the morning, eggs sort of now around lunchtime. I'm sitting there at 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And that has become my afternoon go-to is yogurt, which is, I think most people think of eating it in the morning for some crazy
Yeah.
reason. But I will rarely go a day now without my yogurt. And then I fill in with chia seeds. I
Yep.
love, love, love those little scrubbers go
Yep.
working through your intestines. And, there
Yep.
they are by the next morning,
Yes.
like a
Yes.
dog.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
It-
Yes.
it's all good.
Absolutely. It's excellent.
What else?
Well, I mean, anything to do with a lean protein like a chicken, a
Right.
fish, steak, and it doesn't have to be just for dinner. But I also don't have to eat a lot. Like 3 meals a day is lots.
Yes.
Right. So
Yeah.
we already covered breakfast, lunch can be pretty simple, and then dinner's the standard
Yeah.
meal.
Hey, Danny, I think this is a good question to ask of you. There's a lot of conflicting info out there about diets and supplements and biohacking, et cetera. How do you sort through the noise and figure out what really works?
You know, I just recently listened to a podcast on vitamins as an example
Mhm.
because, you know, a lot of even my doctor at some point said, you know, Danny, vitamins are, you know, expensive urine. They go in and out.
Hey,
Well, and it
interesting.
is, and there has been a lot of controversy around that, and
Huh?
I do understand where they get that from because sometimes people don't feel any different after taking a supplement.
Exactly.
But what they don't realize is what's happening inside. Like vitamin D, for example, if I was vitamin D deficient, I would have an 80% chance of getting dementia.
Hmm.
80% higher
Gee,
than
hey.
so that's a big one. How important are these
Yeah.
supplements?
Yeah.
Well, they're critical.
I agree.
So,
But then how do you how do you
yeah.
know? Tell me which ones are your top ones then. What have you eliminated? What would you now say you're not going to do without? Tell me about your
Okay.
supplements. What
Okay,
does
so
Danny Benson
okay,
believe
so
in?
the number one supplement for
Okay.
me, number one on the board, creatine.
Creatine.
And that is the same for women. Creatine is probably one of the most important supplements I can take, not just for my muscle and my ability to recover, but there's so much research now. And I mean, by top universities and top doctors, they're saying this is going to thwart off dementia,
Hmm.
Alzheimer's,
Hmm.
brain cognition, heart health. My doctor, remember that guy was telling me, oh, this is all,
Right.
he wants to know exactly what I'm taking as well.
Yeah.
Because he wants to make
I
a
want to
change,
know
and his
exactly
wife
what
wants
you're
to make it.
taking.
So creatine's number one.
How much?
So for me,
Yes.
I'm going to be pushing 10 to 15 grams a day.
Now, is it once a day?
Once a day.
Okay.
Yeah. So now sometimes I'll take a scoop, have my electrolytes, and then I'll hit it again
Okay.
kind of
Because
mid-afternoon.
it's usually powder form, correct?
It is powder form. No taste. It's,
No?
Yeah, no.
So I could mix it in my morning smoothie.
Yeah, I know some people who have it in their coffee.
Okay.
Yeah. So creatine's very stable. It's been around for,
Wow.
I don't know how long, but
And is there creatine's creatine? There's not a difference between men and women?
monohydrate. You know, there's no difference between men and women. It's just the
Okay.
amount you take.
Okay.
Rhonda Patrick, for example, she takes 10 grams. She's only started a year ago.
Danny, I'm going to get myself some
Yes,
creatine.
you've got to take creatine. It is so
Okay.
important. So creatine's number one.
Okay.
Vitamin D, 100% number two.
Daily.
Daily.
Vitamin D.
Daily.
Okay.
Vitamin A, vitamin K, vitamin E.
So you're doing a multivitamin then? Just a
Multivitamin. I actually do have a multivitamin
Okay.
now. And I live on NMN.
Right on.
So, and that is just an NAD booster.
Okay.
It's the lifeblood of our cells. If we don't have NAD, we're dead. So nicotide mononucleotide. So it's an NMN, or you take
NMN.
NMN.
Okay.
NAD is what the body requires to stay young, be vibrant,
Hmm.
and have lots of energies.
Let's go back again, Danny, because of, I think there's not enough men out there that are really have a game plan,
Yes.
that have really thought this through the way you have. Your advice. Can you think of a couple of key thoughts or key words that you could say to men in their 50s?
Well,
What's missing? What do you think they need to learn from you?
you want to eat bad food? Your indication is, I don't feel very good.
Mhm.
I'm tired.
Mhm.
I'm achy. Up the
God,
stairs,
that's so
down the
true.
stairs. That's your body saying, we got termites.
Yes.
And if you don't do something about it right now, it's good. Your walls are going to crumble and
Yeah.
your house is condemned.
Yeah. Really teaching people that when your joints are achy, I've got friends who are in their 40s and suffering from arthritis. And Danny, I'm 100% sure it's starting from their gut.
Sure.
Gut and hormones. I think with women too, we do find hormones trigger a lot of joint problems. But boy, to, again, start taking medications for it and drugging at that age and not instead investigating
Okay,
what?
Time out.
Even, in the first episode too, I do this talk about you should, when you poop like a dog, we say, dogs don't take 10 minutes. They're
mine
not
does.
doing
Take
Wordle.
10 minutes to find the spot. Then,
Okay,
then it's quick, but
there
you're right.
you go.
You're right.
There
You're
you
right.
go. And so people to really ask themselves,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good indication.
Yeah.
So yes, joint pain can be one, but something too like your regularity is a pretty darn good indication of how healthy your gut is. And what can you be doing to keep making sure that that
Yeah.
gut health is?
Yeah.
So one of the little ways of checking into that.
Yeah.
So Danny, as we're winding down, boy, you've had a lot of great things to say today, and holy, we could go on for hours. I know that. And I would love to do a deep dive with you another time. I would like to get your feedback on. So I come across as saying I believe there's 7 keys to this and longevity process. Those 7 keys are number 1, our mental health, our mental fitness. Number 2, our gut health. Number 3, posture, the way we carry ourselves, not just when we're active, but even sleeping and at rest. Number 4 is mobility, flexibility. Number 5 is strength, but just enough strength. Number 6, family, friends, and community. And then number 7's kind of a fun one. It's the oil changes. It's our eyes, our ears, but also the fun stuff that we might be doing to, make sure that our car is polished. As I mentioned those 7 keys to you, are there any of them that you want to further discuss or do you agree strongly with or would disagree?
No, I think, those are really great points. But for me, I did a real deep dive into mental health. I did a thing called, I'm not going to say what I did, but it was equivalent to 8 years of therapy. And it really helped me understand who I was as a person, what patterns I've learned from my parents and the ones that I have really truly adopted and ones that I was maybe rebelling against. Like my father was an alcoholic. Well, guess what? I don't drink. That's I'm doing that as a result of not I didn't adopt that particular parent pattern, if you will.
Hmm.
So I learned about that and I wanted to become a better husband, better friend, etc. I did a course on life coaching and business coaching and to help mentor people, not to do it as a
Was there a
business.
trigger for this, or was this just
Yeah.
another good idea that you
No,
had?
no, there was actually a friend of mine that did this particular one. In Brett Wilson's another individual he was a Danny's very big philanthropist in our community
Huh.
and in the world,
Uh-huh.
really. And he did this, and my friend did it, and he goes, Danny, this was one of the best things you ever did. And
Can
he
I
goes,
ask how old you were?
yeah, it was 48.
Huh.
Or no, sorry, 46.
This is a
46.
great
Yeah,
story.
46. And he goes, Danny goes, I think you benefit from this. So I went to my wife and I said, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm gonna do this for me. And so I went there and I thought, man, I'm excited to learn. And I was taken on a journey. Like I went to the bottom, the most darkest place I've ever seen in my whole life. I didn't even think that I could go that deep. And this place was 7 days, no TV, no books, no outside
Wow.
noise, no phone calls, nothing. It was myself in what I call a process. And for 7 days with other people who had their own issues, went down to the darkest place and came out on the other side. And I like there was a light at the end of the tunnel, man. I thought at some point it was a train headed my way. Like it was scary, but the light was really coming on the other side. And I became a better person as a result. So that really strengthened my mental. And so I would say that my mental health was probably the one side that I didn't spend as much attention. So when I came out of that, I'm like, man, I want to be a great husband. I want a great father. What can I do now? So then I
Oh,
did life
Danny.
coaching. I went deep down that.
Of all the things we've talked about, honestly, this one gives me shivers. Like, this is what we're talking about and taking those steps. And again, I don't know what it is that leads you, if it's intuition, if it's something, you seem to get led in the right
Yeah.
directions when you need to. But boy, if, literally everybody can
Oh,
find that period in their life where they do that deep dive.
and what's really, really cool thing about that story is I was in this process. So I'm there.
Yeah.
And there was a guy I meet, and we're not supposed to talk about people we know. We're not supposed to talk about our journey.
Okay.
Okay. Because it's personal. But
Yeah.
it was the first break of the session. So I have this one-on-one conversation. There's 40 people there. I'm having one-on-one with this person. And he starts talking. He goes, you know what? He goes, I'm thinking of leaving. I said, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, my life is perfect. Like I have a great life, great family, blah, blah, blah. But I told my son who's a drug addict, I said, you do this and I'll do it. So he said, Dad, I'll do it. So I bought him the process. And the last minute he says, I'm not going. So he's like, I already paid for it. Maybe I'm going to go. So he goes, I'm here, but this isn't for me, dude. I said, well, this guy told me there's something big about to happen. So why don't you just stay a little longer and just see what happens? Well, I'm not kidding you. There was 3 hours go by and we get to another break. And this guy's crying in a pillow, I pick him up. I said, his name is Kelly. I said, Kelly, are you okay? He goes, man, my life's a mess. I would know I done it. He unravels in front of me.
Cracked him open.
So he stayed the whole time. And I remember when at the end of the day, he said he was going to send people from his company. He was going to get back to the world. It changed him.
Right.
We are still dear friends to this day.
Right.
And the crazy part of the story is that friend that sent me, he sent one other guy, and it was him.
You are nailing it, my friend.
Yeah.
You have some very insightful ideas and some information to share. But I got to say, that last story, Danny, just I get it now. I get why you are who you are. I get it. You, I think, very successfully got cracked open and the real Danny came out. And boy, the future's bright. Well, Danny, I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, thank you.
I know that you have still a ton that we did not have time to get to. So maybe next time we'll do a deep dive, or maybe next time we'll be at your house and I can
that would be cool.
Check out that supplements drawer. And I can also get you to cook some of these wonderful recipes that I know you have.
Love to.
Danny, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. What a powerhouse conversation. At 55, Danny's not just aging, he's engineering his next decades with precision and passion and purpose. He's our guy that late in the second period that the coach wants leading the power play because he's ready and he's just, so able. He'll get it done. From gut health to mental resilience, movement to mindset, he's showing us what's possible when you lean into every strategy available and you choose to live full throttle, not just longer, but better. So whether it's dialing in your nutrition, finding movement that lights you up, or just staying curious, there's no rules about what 55, 65, or 75 should look like. Hey, if this episode fired you up, share it with somebody who's ready to take ownership of their aging journey. And don't forget to subscribe, review, and stay tuned for more conversations with people who are truly rocking the ages. Thank you for listening and watching. I'm Cheryl Soleway.